Blizzard, you know what I'm saying? Blizzard story. We got the gas station stories. We could do one of those. I'm gonna do a basement story. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, man, what's good, YouTube, man? It's your boy, man, Jay Willie Silly, man, aka Mr. Take It Easy. Before you end up like busy, make sure y'all follow my Twitch, man. Subscribe to my second channel. Everything you need to know about your boy Jay, it's in the description down below. But we got 4 disturbing true basement horror stories. You know what I'm saying? Hey, bro, whatever your name is, see off 4, whatever your name is, man, just shut up, man. I'm doing a scare reaction. Just shut up, man. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, yeah, man, one thing about the basements, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. Basements used to scare me, not really anymore. You know what I'm saying? One thing that scares me the most in my house is the attic. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna lie, the attic really scares me, bro, honestly. You know, but the basement, bro, it used to scare me. You know what I'm saying? It used to scare me, but thank God for an alarm. You know what I'm saying? Because one thing about me, I got an alarm everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, basement door, front door, garage door. So basically anywhere in the house, bro, you know what I'm saying? I'm more confident going in the basement because I know nobody's down there. You know what I'm saying? An alarm system, bro, just, even though you're not safe anywhere, you know what I'm saying? An alarm system, bro, just give you that type of confidence that nobody in the crib, because if somebody was in the crib, the alarm would go off. You know what I'm saying? So, or let me know. Even if you open the freaking window, you feel me? I think it's on the windows. I'm not sure. You know what I'm saying? But it's just set around the whole house. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I try to tell everybody, man, get an alarm system. I can't believe it's people that is living, you know what I mean, that doesn't have alarm systems. You will feel so much safer, bro, if you had an alarm system. Like when I come home, I know nobody in the crib, you know what I'm saying? Even though sometimes I still go around and check the crib, I know nobody in the crib. You know why? Because my alarm, you know what I'm saying? My alarm it goes off. You know what I'm saying? So it's just having an alarm, bro, really just, you know, make you more safe. Basement door. I can tell you, most of these people, bro, they ain't got alarm systems, bro. You gotta invest in an alarm system, bro.
This happened maybe
whether you in an apartment, whatever, bro. Get an alarm system, bro.
I was 24 at the time.
Yeah, bro, you gotta clean your driveway, bro. Golly, man, you gotta clean the driveway, bro. You got oil stains, you know what I mean, the dirt and everything. You gotta clean that driveway, man.
Fresh out of college with a decent job. All you need to know about the house is that it had a very spacious basement that I mostly used for storage. The previous owners had partitioned it into these separate rooms
got a gym?
with plywood and exposed framing. There was the main area at the bottom of the stairs, then a laundry section, then what I think was supposed to be a workshop, and then this weird back room that was mostly just storage. It had kind of a maze-like quality to it. You couldn't see the entire basement from any single vantage point, which I remember thinking was kind of cool when I first toured the place. Anyway, it was a weeknight. I needed to go downstairs to do laundry, which was the only time I ever really went down there. The basement lights were already on, which I thought was weird, but I didn't dwell on it for whatever reason.
Bro, your freaking laundry, bro, in the basement? Oh my God. You know what I'm saying? Bro, laundry room in the basement. So you gotta walk all the way down to the basement just to wash your clothes? Bro, that jump would get freaking annoying, bro.
I'd been down there a few days earlier, so I figured I just forgot to turn them off. The space was dim even with the lights. I hadn't bothered changing the old yellow incandescents that had been there when I moved in.
Okay, look, and it's another thing. You say you got protection. A gun does not save you, bro, from getting killed. And that's another thing. I don't know why people be thinking a gun saves you, bro. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't save you from getting killed. Because what if somebody in your house and they got a gun too? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't save you from getting killed. It takes just one shot for you to get dropped. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why people be thinking a gun. Okay, you got a gun. It saves you from people that don't have guns. But okay, what if you come across somebody that got a gun just like you and a more powerful gun? Then what? You know what I'm saying? But like I said, that's on you, bro. If you don't want an alarm system, that's on you, bro. I'm telling you the confidence it gives me. You know what I'm saying? Because truly, when you go inside your house, the people without an alarm system, you know what I'm saying? Anybody could be in there. You know what I'm saying? It just give you confidence, bro. But stop thinking just because you got a gun, bro, that you safe. That don't mean nothing, bro.
I started walking down the stairs, and things escalated so abruptly that I couldn't react quick enough. I made it to the bottom of the stairs and started walking toward the laundry area when I saw movement in my peripheral vision. I turned my head instinctively and locked eyes with a man. A man who was crouching behind one of the folding tables that I had set up near the far corner. It was so unsettling that I almost dropped the basket. My brain refused to register what I was seeing. There was literally a stranger hiding in my basement. I couldn't move. All I could do was stare at this intruder who was now staring back at me, and it was not a pleasant stare. He looked like he had just crawled out of a sewer or something, and then he stood up and ran. Not at me though, further into the basement toward the partitioned rooms in the back. That snapped me out of my fear-induced haze, and I started moving backwards toward the basement stairs. But I must have wasted too much time, because before I could reach the stairs, all the lights in the basement went out. Until that moment, I had never been down there with the lights off. I hadn't anticipated how dark it would be. It was fully pitch black down there, complete and utter darkness. I mistakenly assumed I knew my own house, so I kept moving toward the stairs, but I must have misjudged something, because I tripped and fell to the floor. By the time I got up, I was completely disoriented. The chaos and fear of the situation was overwhelming my brain, and I couldn't think. My phone was sitting on the counter upstairs, so it's not like I could just reach in my pocket and turn on the flashlight. I started screaming like a lunatic, thinking that might scare off whoever had broken into my house. But actually, that strategy must have energized them, because I started hearing screaming coming from the other side of the basement. It was terrifying. I was screaming into the darkness, trying to seem like I was crazy, and someone on the other side of the room was doing the same exact thing, and his screaming was much more intimidating than mine. He legitimately sounded like a murderer. I stopped screaming, and he followed suit. I started navigating around the basement purely by touch.
Trying to sound scary.
And I started hearing movement behind me. He must have been doing the same. The sounds were getting closer, and amidst the horror of everything, I couldn't help but get the sense that he knew my own basement better than I did. I knew I was getting closer to the stairs, but that basement is massive. I started hearing breathing coming from somewhere behind me, and I genuinely thought he was going to catch me. After what felt like an eternity, I felt the wooden base of the staircase. I grabbed the railing and started running up the stairs. But before I could even hit the second step, something grabbed my ankle and I lost my grip. My head struck the railing and I fell all the way down to the basement floor. I still couldn't see the guy, but he was dragging me away from the stairs with what genuinely felt like inhuman strength. I kicked and thrashed my legs with all my might and miraculously connected with something. The strike was just strong enough for him to lose his grip, and I twisted and twisted until I escaped his grasp. I started running back towards the stairs in the dark, and he started screaming again, but I found them before he could catch me. I made it to the top in the dark, burst through the door, and slammed it shut behind me. The nightmare was far from over.
Hey, look, I'm gonna just tell you like this, bro. If you was sitting down crouched, you know what I'm saying? That's one thing about me, and I'm gonna keep it real with you. I bring my gun everywhere around the house. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, I told you, this is just me. I bring my gun everywhere in the house, just in case. Like I said, it's right here, right now. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I don't believe in showing guns and all that, or trying to prove anything to people. If I wanted to show it, I'll just show it. But I'm not proving nothing to nobody. You know what I'm saying? People just be trying to hear, look at my gun. That's just corny to me. You know what I'm saying? But no, though. It's right here. It's just in case, you know what I'm saying, somebody, I mean, like I said, I could be recording a video right now and then somebody crazy enough, you know what I'm saying, to come in my house right now. What if I'm, you know what I'm saying, the house that somebody breaks into? What if it's my day to day? That's how I think about it. What if it was my day to day? Because it's a lot of people that didn't know that was their day. What if it's my day to day? That's how I think. What if it's my day that somebody tries to come breaking into my house? So I'm fully prepared. Even when I'm doing the videos right here. You know what I'm saying? Even when I'm in my bed, right there. Even when I'm in the showers, right there. I'm always 10 steps ahead, man. I ain't never lacking while it's cracking, because it's cracking out here. So I'm going to keep it real with you, bro. And this is dead for real. I would have seen you, gang, and I'm telling you, this is just real talk. If I would have seen the man, gang, I would have shot you point blank where you stand, gang. I'm going to just keep it real with you, gang. I can't take no chances. You in my house, bro. I don't know you, bro. So I'm looking at it, okay, like you trying to kill me, bro. You know what I'm saying? You come in my house, bro, just expect to die. You know what I'm saying? That's just point blank period. You ain't leaving. I can't let you leave. I cannot let you leave. I'm gonna think you coming back. You're gonna come back with some more. The way I think, I cannot let you leave. You gotta die, bro. You know what I'm saying? You know where I live. You been inside my house. You gotta die. You know what I'm saying? It's no other option, bro. It's just no other option. So for him to just let bro run deeper into the basement and then cut off the lights, we wouldn't even play that game. We're not even playing that game.
That door doesn't have a lock, so I had no choice but to press my weight against it.
Like this man right here scared in his own house. I'll be but got me bent thinking I'm finna be scared him out. You got me bent thinking another grown man finna run me in my house. You got me bent, boy. You gonna kill me, bro. You gonna have to work for this kill. Best believe you gonna get a couple of holes in you if you take me. I ain't no person, man. Like I said, it's a difference between a hero and a coward. You know what I'm saying? It's not a difference. I told y'all that. The hero and the coward, they both feel fear. You know what I'm saying? But one thing about the coward lets fear overtake him, and the hero goes through with it even though he's fearful. So yeah, I'm afraid, but I just know me being a coward, I'm gonna die. You know what I'm saying? If you're a coward, you're gonna die in this situation, bro. You being a hero, you being brave, you have way of a more chance to survive this situation than being a coward. He being a complete coward right now. But if you was a hero, if you was somebody that was trying to like standing on business, you have a more chance of. I don't know why people be thinking all that cowardly acting, bro, is gonna make them survive. Bro, you're gonna die, bro. You're gonna die being a coward, bro. I'm just telling you right now.
I was strong enough.
And this another thing. I don't know. I never understood why people stand still when somebody point a gun at them. I never understood that junk. Point a gun at me, gang, I'm scurrying off the lot immediately. You know what I'm saying? Scurrying off the lot, taking cover, finna start blasting. I never understood that when it came to people. Why the freak do you stand still when somebody point a gun at you? You know what I'm saying? Just like this. It's so much harder for a person to shoot you while you're moving, but you standing still, somebody can. I don't understand people, bro.
Keep him out.
People such cowards, bro.
As I suspected, I heard footsteps pounding up the basement stairs.
Pound up!
Seconds later,
gotta kill you.
Followed by a huge crash against the door. The door swung open for a terrifying second, and it took everything in my power to push it closed.
This man getting scared. This man getting scared in his own house. This man running in his own house. Man, I refuse, bro. Look at this.
First impact must have emboldened him because he started repeatedly slamming into the door. I yanked off my socks and pushed against the door, knowing my life depended on it. I have no idea how he did make it through, but he eventually gave up. I heard footsteps crashing back down the basement stairs, and I immediately seized the opportunity to grab my phone. I ran over to the counter, grabbed it, and ran back to the basement door. With my back pressed against the door again, I called the police. When they finally arrived, that guy was gone. I kind of had a feeling. One of the basement windows had been forced open from the outside, and it didn't take a genius to figure out what happened. There was nothing missing or stolen, so one of the officers suggested that the intruder was probably using my basement as a place to live or hide. That hadn't crossed my mind, but it was somehow a worse thought than him simply wanting to rob the place. The other reason the police arrived at that theory was that the intruder somehow knew where the light switch was, which wasn't in the most obvious place. It made sense. I ended up moving out about 4 months after the incident. Thinking about this again has confirmed something for me. That guy was fully prepared to kill me that night, and if things had played out differently, he just might have.
I mean, bent, think you finna kill me, boy. You bent, boy. Definitely would have ran into some bullets coming up the stairs, I'm telling you right now. Straight hollows, bro.
This happened when I
don't care about none of that screaming, bro. One thing that, now, if you was immortal, then I'd be scared of you. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you was like godlike, immortal, you don't die, then yeah, I'm scared of you. But one thing, bro, that gives me peace in this world is knowing that every single thing walking this earth is mortal. Every single thing walking this earth will die one day. That gives me the most peace. So I don't care how much you screaming. I don't care how crazy you is. I know if I hit you with a couple of shots, I know you gonna drop. You know what I'm saying? I know if I just keep on shooting, you ain't finna just be like Thor or Thanos, just walking through them bullets and just, you gonna drop. Everybody crazy until they get them bullets in them. They crazy until they get them bullets. All that screaming and all that roughing and all. Yeah, we gonna see how rough you is. I bet you drop.
14.
I bet you drop.
I'm in my 30s now. So
everybody drop.
Close to 20 years ago at this point. My parents had to drive out of state.
Everybody drops.
They didn't want to leave me alone, despite the fact that I was staying at home alone age. So the original plan was for my older sister to stay with me for the weekend. She was already in college at the time, but she only lived an hour away. As soon as my parents left, though, she texted me and told me she had some party to go to and wasn't going to come. I didn't really care. I didn't even bother telling my parents about it, partly because I didn't want to stress them out and partly because I didn't want them to find someone else to watch me. It wasn't like the house was in some sketchy area either. It was a typical 2-story home in a quiet suburban neighborhood. The place mostly consisted of families too, so I knew I'd be fine. The evening was completely uneventful. I played Halo for like 6 hours, something I'd ordinarily never get to do. It wasn't until just after midnight where things started getting weird. I was still lounging on the couch when I heard this faint tapping sound. The sound came from somewhere in the backyard, and I immediately assumed it was something hitting the siding of the house. That's honestly what it sounded like, so I wasn't too concerned. A few minutes later, though, I heard it again. The sound was nearly identical, which gave me the impression that it was a tree branch hitting the same spot on the house. But then the tapping migrated, like whatever was making it was moving along the side of the house. That's when I knew something was wrong. The sound was far too intentional to not be made by something sentient. I muted the TV and froze. I didn't want to move. I just sat there listening the way anyone would, but now there was just silence. After maybe a minute, I convinced myself that it had just been a scuttling animal or the wind, and I turned the TV back on. 20 minutes later, there was a new noise, one that made me a lot more concerned. It was another tapping sound. But this time, it sounded like it was coming from below me, from the basement. The living room was directly above the basement, so it had to be coming from there. It was an unfinished basement with a little kitchenette in the corner, so it wasn't crazy to imagine a critter rummaging around in there. I muted the TV again, this time getting up off the couch. I was dreading it, but I had to check. I had to at least assure myself that nothing was wrong. The basement had several windows that led directly to the outdoors, so in all likelihood, the raccoon or stray cat that had been making the first noise was now knocking against one of those windows for whatever reason. I tried to convince myself I wasn't freaking out and walked over to the basement door. I opened it and stood at the top of the stairs, looking down into the darkness. The tapping noise was louder now, happening every few seconds or so. I don't know why I did this, but I called out hello into the nothingness. The tapping stopped immediately. That's when I started feeling really uneasy, because if it had just been an animal, it probably wouldn't have reacted to my voice like that. If I could just turn on the lights, I'd get a much clearer view of everything. But the light switch was at the bottom of the stairs, and there was a 0% chance I was going down there. So instead, I swung the door closed until it was only open a crack and stuck my hand through. I pointed my phone over to where I knew the window was. Then I closed my eyes and recorded a video with the flash on for a few seconds. Then I immediately shut the door and locked it. I took a deep breath and pulled up the video.
You never go down to anything. You know what I'm saying? Always let it come to you. You know what I'm saying? Never go down to check anything. I'm not finna go down to the basement. I want you to come where I am. You know what I'm saying? I want you to come where I am. Like, I'm not finna go outside and try to search for you. I'm finna stay in the crib. Because I know the house better than you. I know the house 10 times better. I know little spots. I know little secret spots, little cuts. You know what I'm saying? I'm never finna go out. That's how you die. Trying to go looking or searching for somebody. No, close the door. You know what I'm saying? If you want to play crazy, you know what I'm saying? Let them come up the stairs. Let them, you know what I'm saying? Let them into the house. Now you entered my zone. You know what I mean? Now you're at a disadvantage because I know the house way better than you. Now you're coming to me. Never go to the target. Let the target come to you. You go to the target, you're going to die. So y'all hear the tapping. I hear the tapping outside. I hear the tapping below me. I hear it. You know what I mean? But I'm going to shrug it off. I know dang well you come up in here. You know what I'm saying? It's game over. Tap on the tap. You know what I'm saying? You could break the basement window door. You know what I'm saying? You could break the windows and everything. I ain't going to react. It's all about staying calm in hostile situations. That's one thing that I've realized. That's one thing that I'm trying to master is self-control. Staying calm in hostile situations. Still thinking. You know, when things get hostile, when things get dangerous, people usually blank out. But I understood that God gave me this brain and God gave me this mind to think. So when it comes to hostile situations, I got to stay calm and I got to think. You know what I'm saying? people are so reactive when it comes to stuff that start happening. So it's just reactive. You know what I'm saying? You become a more powerful person when you're self-controlled. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, you could do whatever, man. You could break the basement window. You could break the basement door. You could be in the basement for all I care. I ain't finna go down to the basement. I want you to break that door that comes up from the basement. You know what I'm saying? Do what you want to do in the basement. I'm not finna come down. I'm gonna ignore you. Right when you break that door, bah, 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 bah. Gonna fall right back down them stairs.
Grainy, but it took me all of 1 second to realize there was a figure standing underneath one of the windows on the inside of the house. I screamed. I couldn't control myself, and I ran to my room. I locked the door and immediately called my dad.
Oh, room messy, boy.
Me. I was still on the phone with my parents when I started hearing repeated banging on the basement door. That guy was trying to break into the finished part of our house.
Got him.
And then, after the 5th or 6th bang or so, there was silence again, and then the police showed up. They searched the basement, but that guy had escaped through the window. The officers were actually nice enough to search our yard, but that guy was long gone. There was a bunch of stuff missing from the basement. Like I said before, it wasn't finished, but that didn't mean my parents left it empty. I can't remember everything that had been stolen, but the scariest thing by far was this. When the police inspected the kitchenette, they found the biggest knife in the rack missing. It was a terrifying thought. If it weren't for the video on my phone, I don't think the police would have taken things as seriously as they did. But of course, nothing ever came of it, and this was almost 20 years ago now. I have no idea what happened to that old phone. It's probably buried in a box of junk in my parents' house somewhere, if it even still exists. If I ever find it and the thing still turns on, I'll submit the footage.
You know what I'm saying? How bro got a big knife? How you gotta think. Bro got a big knife, he's trying to kill something. See that? So I gotta debt you before you even get the chance. You
This
know what I'm saying?
happened when I was 16, 4 years ago now.
Gotta debt
I
that
grew
man.
up in this big suburban house that my parents bought before I was born. It's one of those places that looks normal from the outside, but has all these weird quirks once you're inside. The biggest quirk by far is the basement. It's easily the largest room in the house. My parents finished it years ago and turned it into this casual hangout space with a sectional couch, a decent TV,
Pretty nice.
a couple of storage rooms in the back.
Pretty nice.
You'd think a space like that would get a lot of use, but my parents are the type who prefer the living room upstairs. So basically, the basement is essentially mine.
Heck
The
yeah.
other thing you need to know about is
That's like an apartment right there. Golly. Know what I mean? It's like literally an apartment. Big golly, bro. Big old basement, G. Know what I'm saying? Golly. They ain't there bigger than my living room.
my cat. His name is Rocky.
I mean, my basement pretty big too, though. Know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie to you. My basement pretty big too. You know what I'm saying? Not overly big, you know what I'm saying? But I think my basement could be big enough to fit a TV in there with a little couch in there, you know what I'm saying? A wide basement, though.
Those annoyingly friendly cats.
Basement's supposed to be
constantly
big,
needs
though.
attention. Because of that, my parents put him in the basement every night before they go to sleep so he doesn't bother them. Now here's where things get a little sketchy, and I'm just going to be honest about it because there's no point in pretending otherwise. The basement has this interior door that connects directly to the garage. It's technically supposed to be a convenience thing for bringing in groceries or whatever, but for me, it was a convenience thing for sneaking people in. Anyway, it was a Friday night when this went down. I remember that specifically because I had invited this girl Madeline over, which I wouldn't have done on a school night. I also remember assuming Rocky was already down there. It wasn't a conscious thought, more so an implied assumption. It was past the time when my parents usually put him down there, so I figured he was asleep somewhere in the back, as per usual. That's why I didn't freak out when I heard a noise from one of the storage rooms. It was this faint rustling sound, like something moving around in the boxes. To be completely honest, I feel like I was justified in keeping my cool because it sounded like the exact sound an energetic cat might make. Madeline obviously tensed up a little, but I explained to her that it was just my cat, and then we went back to pretending to watch whatever was on the TV. But the noises kept happening. Not constantly, but every few minutes there'd be another rustle or a soft thud. Each time, Madeline would give me a worried look, and I'd have to assure her that he was just a very active cat and liked to climb on things. Which was true, he did like to climb on things. I was still 100% calm, right up until I heard scratching coming from the door at the top of the basement stairs. The door that led to the main part of the house. I instantly knew what I was hearing. It was Rocky scratching at the door to get into the basement, meaning he wasn't already down there with us, which also meant that whatever noises I'd been hearing for the past half hour were not him. I didn't say anything right away, partly because I didn't want to scare Madeline, and partly because I didn't know whether I believed what I was hearing. But before I could react, Madeline, who was still sitting right next to me, started screaming like she was being stabbed. I whipped my head around and realized she was pointing behind me, toward the back of the basement. I turned my head a little further and literally froze in fear. There was a foam football rolling across the floor, clearly having just been thrown out of the storage room. There was someone in there. I didn't see anyone. The back of the basement was too dark, but there was no other explanation. Someone was back there. Someone had been back there the whole time. Without thinking, I grabbed Madeline's arm and practically dragged her up the stairs. As soon as we made it up, I slammed the door behind us, careful not to let Rocky down there. Things got really chaotic after that. Madeline was crying, which was the first issue, but I was also shaking. Until that moment, I didn't even know I could get that scared. My parents eventually realized what was going on and called the police, who showed up a few minutes later. I stood on the back deck and watched the garage the entire time to make sure the intruder didn't slip out from there. Here's where things got weird though. The police ended up searching the entire basement, including the garage, but didn't find anyone. There were also no signs of forced entry, and all the basement windows were locked from the inside. One of the officers suggested the intruder must have slipped out through the garage before
But you was
arrived,
watching, right?
But I know that's not possible. I was watching it the entire time. I would have seen them. But after searching the house, there was nothing else that the police could do.
Paranormal-ish?
Of course, my parents also thought the intruder had slipped away without me realizing it, and I could tell they were upset. My dad especially. But I don't care what they think. I'm 100% certain that no one escaped through the garage. There's only one path from the garage to the outdoors, and I had my eyes on it the entire time. My family never got a resolution to all of this, and I still have no explanation for everything that happened.
Heck no. What y'all think, man? I think that was like some paranormal junk then, you feel me? Because of bro watching that the whole time, you know what I'm saying? Watching to see if anybody gonna scurry off the lot, and nobody scurried off the lot. You know what I'm saying? And then the police came inside the basement, checked the basement, nobody in the basement. Who the freak threw the football? You know what I'm saying? Some paranormal-ish going on, man. You know what I mean? That's the only explanation when it comes to this story right here, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I mean? Some paranormal-ish going on. You know what I'm saying? I know I would never, ever go inside that basement again. You know what I'm saying? Ever. You feel me? Because that's a different type of ball game. You know what I mean? When it comes to a person, I can pound. But when it comes to something paranormal, that is something supernatural. That is something I can't pound. You feel me? Now that's a different ball game. That's when I'm going to feel that fear. You know what I'm saying? That's when I'm going to feel that fear because I can't shoot and kill this thing. You know, this is something spiritual. Now that's a different battle right there. That's a different battle right there. Trying to.
I think
you trying to like, you know what I'm saying? Like you actually going through a paranormal experience, actually going through something that's supernatural. That's a different type of fear right there. That's something that you can't fight against.
Kid is afraid
what you gonna
of basements. Let's face it, they're scary places. Even as an adult now who lives alone, I sometimes find myself a little uncomfortable going down to the basement to do laundry at night. At least I feel that way going up the stairs as I leave. But as a kid,
that basement.
I was terrified of the basement in my family house. Ironically, all our video game consoles were down there since
what
it
it
was
is
the
about
only other
that
TV
basement,
in the house
bruh?
besides the living room and my parents' room. I believe this happened when I was 9 because I remember being in elementary school, but
It's because you rarely go down there. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what scares people the most about a basement. Because you rarely go down there. It's like you go everywhere in the house but the basement. You know what I'm saying? Like you know everywhere in the house. You know what I'm saying? But you don't go down. It's like a different part of the crib. You know what I'm saying? Words can't explain. If you got a basement, you know. You know, we know this room, we know that room, we know this room, we know the kitchen, this room. We know everything in the house but that basement. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you go down to the basement. It's like a different part of the house. It's like a different world you entering, bro.
of my last years. On the weekends, I like to stay up playing video games.
Don't nobody go to the basement?
One of my old favorites was Driver 2 on the PS1.
Yes, what?
For whatever reason, I could never beat the game.
Hey, how old
and
you
I
is?
spent countless nights trying to do so. Well, it was one of those nights I was down there playing. I usually didn't like being up too late because the second my parents went to sleep, I'd be too scared to be down in the basement. Just the idea of my mom or dad watching TV upstairs was enough to make me feel somewhat safe, knowing they were a quick run up the stairs away. Similar to my current house today, my old family home had the laundry/boiler room in the basement. That room terrified me because it was pitch black at all hours of the day due to there being absolutely no windows. Also, weird sounds always came from in there, as to be expected I guess since it's a boiler room. There were definitely a handful of times where I stopped my game to listen when I thought I heard an unusual sound come from in there, even with the door closed. On this particular night, I did in fact hear an unusual sound, and it started with the sound of the laundry room door creaking open. This obviously was enough to make me pause my game and frighten me. There was an uncomfortable silence in the basement for a second, and it was then followed by what I can only describe as the sound of a woman moaning or groaning in an almost ghost-like way. But it sounded like my mom's voice. In fact, I knew it was. I started laughing, and I'm sure I said something like, "Nice try, Mom," knowing she was trying to scare me, which, side note, looking back, even as a kid, I should have realized something was wrong considering my mom has never been a goofy person that would pull this kind of prank. But I walked over to the laundry room with a little more confidence now, and as I was in front of the open doorway leading into the darkness, the groans had stopped by now. I looked straight into the pitch black room ahead, and as I inched closer, the outline of a person standing in there became visible.
Holy crap.
"Mom?" I said, now with less confidence.
Y'all see that?
When I got just close enough,
What?
I made the judgment that it was not my mom.
The freak is that?
I started screaming as I ran up the stairs to the living room,
Holy
and
crap.
my horrific judgment was right. There was my mom in the living room with my dad. At this point,
What
they
the
were both
freak
already standing up, responding to my screams. I yelled, "There's a woman in the laundry room," and I remember they looked at each other, and then both ran down to the basement, slamming the door shut behind them. I sat confused, scared, but slightly relieved knowing my parents were down there now. I remember being in the living room for a long time before my mom came upstairs and told me to go to my room and go to sleep. I didn't ask questions and obeyed. I had a hard time falling asleep that night, I'm sure, but I remember the next morning. My parents told me they had one of their friends prank me to scare me,
What?
and they treated it like it was one big joke. I don't fully remember how much I believed it or not, but I for sure asked them to elaborate on who it was. My mom said it was one of her friends from out of state who was visiting.
Makes sense.
I didn't question it, but as I got older, the name Debbie was seemingly accidentally dropped by my parents a few times, and whenever I'd ask who Debbie is, they'd have a different response. When I was maybe 14, I thought
What?
back one day on this night and decided to do a deep dive. I found a family tree type of website, and admittedly,
Like, why would you get somebody to prank me? Like, that don't even make sense. Like, come up with a better lie, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I be saying, bro. Like, you thinking kids stupid. You be thinking kids gonna take everything, bro. Like, come up with a better, like, lie, bro. You know what I'm saying? Don't even make sense what you said, bro. Feel me? You gonna get somebody, you gonna do all that to get somebody to prank me, bro. Get the freak out my face.
Deep dive. I found a family tree type of website, and admittedly stole my dad's credit card from his wallet momentarily to pay for the service.
What?
And slipped it back in the wallet. I inputted both my parents' names. Among a few familiar names and a bunch of names I didn't recognize, what instantly stood out was that my mom had a sister named Debbie. So I googled Debbie followed by my mom's maiden name, and up popped an obituary. She was dead. I ran to grab my parents to show them what I found on the screen, and I demanded they explain. I remember their shocked and nervous looks on their faces still. "Tell him," my dad said to my mom. My mom then dropped the bomb on me that I had a very mentally unstable aunt who harmed a lot of people, and it was for the best that she was always kept away from me growing up. Debbie had allegedly broken into or snuck into the house without my parents knowing.
Oh, shoot.
I had so many questions and demanded answers, but there was little more that they would tell me. They swore they had my best interests at heart.
Tell them then.
Over the years, I'd occasionally bring it up, but they'd always shut it down and tell me
Always
to
trying to-
drop it.
Always trying to shut stuff down. Your crazy sister was in here making like your crazy sister. You know what I'm saying? That was your crazy sister, and you trying to shut it down. What you mean shut it down? I was probably inches away getting harmed by your little crazy sister. I'm playing my video game, and your crazy sister, ooh, your crazy sister making ghost noises. You know what I'm saying? And ain't no prank. I don't know this woman. What if I would have died, bro? You know what I'm saying? Making ghost noises and all that, man. I should slap the face. That's my mama, chat. That's my mama. God almighty dog. That's my mama. You know what I'm saying? My mama, man, you acting real weird right now. You know what I'm saying? Mama, was you in on the prank? Was you with Debbie? You know what I'm saying? I need to know answers right now. You know what I mean? Like, there ain't no game, bro. Some scary-ish. You know what I mean? And then every time I try to bring up the situation, you trying to shut it down. No, mama, you need to answer that immediately.
Over the years,
Why the heck Aunt Debbie was trying to scare me like that?
Bring it up, but they'd always shut it down and tell me to drop it.
Drop it?
I never learned what they meant by
drop it?
She harmed a lot of people, but I have some theories. It doesn't really do me any good dwelling on it, though. It makes me kind of nervous to think about it. What else were my parents hiding?
I'm saying.
What happened to Debbie?
What happened to Debbie? They killed Debbie, gang? What happened to Debbie, bro? I'm thinking your parents on some psycho junk, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, what happened to Debbie? Did they kill Debbie, bro?
Why was she in the basement? I wondered a few times if my parents were hiding her down there after she had done something horrible, but that wouldn't make much sense because I don't think they'd let me down there in the basement then. I guess some questions are better left unanswered.
F that. Parents on some weird junk. You know what I'm saying? Like, your parents on some weird junk. You know what I mean? They probably thought that you weren't going to find out by Debbie. Parents on some weird junk, G. You know what I'm saying? I probably would have had to cut off my pants when it come to that right there. You know me, but anyways, man, we done with the live stream. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate everybody for joining the video, man. I had y'all boys scared, man. You know what I'm saying? That last story scared the freak out of y'all, man. Y'all don't see Debbie tonight. I hope y'all don't see Debbie tonight, man. You know what I'm saying? But nah, though, man. I appreciate everybody for joining the stream. Every single video will be uploaded from Twitch to YouTube, man. Just like it is, man. We live stream.